Most people believe their greatest enemy is the world around them, but more often than not, the real battle is happening within. A single emotion can destroy years of progress in minutes. One burst of anger ruins relationships. One moment of insecurity kills confidence. One wave of sadness convinces a person to quit. One impulse changes the direction of an entire life. That's why mastering your emotions is one of the most important skills a human being can never learn. Because emotions are powerful servants, but terrifying masters. The problem is not that human feels deeply, feeling is part of being alive. The problem begins when emotion takes the steering wheel while wisdom gets locked in the trunk. Too many people live entirely at the mercy of temporary feeling. If they feel motivated, they work. If they feel hurt, they lash out. If they feel afraid, they run. Their emotions become weather patterns controlling the direction of their entire existence. And weather is unpredictable. A calm ocean can become violent overnight. Human beings are no different. That's why emotional discipline matters so much. It is the ability to remain grounded even when the storm inside you is screaming for control. Not suppression, control. There's a difference. Suppressing emotion is like trapping fire inside a sealed room. Eventually, it explodes. But mastering emotions is learning how to hold fire without letting it burn the house down. That takes awareness, because most emotional reactions happen automatically. Someone assaults you, and anger rises instantly. You feel rejected, and insecurity begins whispering lies into your mind. Fear arrives, and suddenly your future looks impossible. Emotions are fast. They move before logic has time to speak. That's why wisdom lives in the pause. The pause before replying in anger. The pause before making decisions while emotional. The pause that asks, is this feeling the telling the truth or just making noise? A person who cannot pause becomes dangerous to themselves. Look at how many lives collapse because of uncontrolled emotions. Careers ruined over pride. Families broken by ego. Dreams abandoned because temporary sadness convinced someone they were incapable. Entire futures traded away for one emotional moment. And the painful part is this: most people do not even realize they are being controlled. They think their emotions are reality itself. But emotion are often unreliable narrators. Fear says you cannot do it. Anger says destroy everything. Jealousy says compare yourself endlessly. Sadness says nothing will ever improve. Yet if every emotion told you the truth, humanity would never survive hardships. Imagine if every athlete quit when exhausted, every parent quit when overwhelmed, every dreamer quit when discouraged. Greatness requires acting beyond emotion sometimes. The strongest people are not emotionless. They simply refuse to let emotions make permanent decisions for temporary pain. That is mastery. A lion does not panic during the storm because it understands the storm will pass. Meanwhile, smaller creatures scatter in fear at every thunderclap. Human beings often behave the same way. People panic inside temporary emotions as if those feelings will last forever, but they never do. Anger cools, sadness softens, fear fades, embarrassment passes. Feelings are visitors, not permanent residents. And once you understand that, life changes. You stop reacting to every emotional wave as though it deserves obedience. You begin observing yourself instead of immediately becoming yourself. You learn that just because anger knocks on the door does not mean it deserves a seat at the table. That level of control creates peace, not because life becomes easier, but because you become harder to shake. A person who masters their emotions become dangerous in the best possible way. They cannot easily be manipulated. Insults lose power over them. Delays no longer break them. Criticism becomes information instead of destruction. Chaos enters the room, and they remain centered while everyone else collapses emotionally around them. That calmness is rare, and it is built through suffering. Nobody develops emotional mastery during comfort. It comes through heartbreak, failure, disappointment, betrayal, loneliness. Life tests your emotional stability repeatedly until you either become reactive or reflective. And reflective people become wise because eventually they realize this truth. Not every emotion deserves expression. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every feeling deserves action. Sometimes strength is staying still. Sometimes strength is walking away. Sometimes strength is feeling the storm fully and still refusing to let it control your direction. That is what separates maturity from impulse. So when life provokes you, pause, breathe, observe the emotion before obeying it. Because a person who conquers the world or remains a slave to anger, fear, insecurity, or ego is not truly free at all. Real power begins the moment your emotions stop controlling your choices. And maybe that is the deepest lesson life teaches. A calm mind can survive the storm that an emotional mind drowns in.